some lawmakers questioning whether chemical weapons were even used by the Assad regime in Syria last week. Former Ohio Congressman Dennis Kuchinich met with Assad earlier this year, has met with him multiple times, and he says he is skeptical as well. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us this morning. So you're skeptical. You acknowledge that chemicals were used in Syria, but you're skeptical that Bashar al-Assad was the one who unleashed them?
Well, I agree with Representative Gabbard that we should have had an investigation here and then made a determination as to who was responsible. By assuming that Assad was responsible, we're ignoring evidence that was presented in a chemical attack against Ghouta in 2013, where a UN weapons inspector, an MIT scientist, and a scientist from Tesla Labs all concluded that that particular attack was launched from within rebel territory. So you've got to be careful about drawing conclusions.
So, are you alleging then that the information that was released by the Trump administration, the flight patterns of the Syrian jets and others from that base, that's not true, that they didn't have any evidence?
Well, keep this in mind. The flight patterns could have been correct, except suppose the gas was released on the ground after the attack. See, these are the kinds of things that an investigation would show. But
have rebels been shown to use gas in Syria?
Yes.
I mean, chemical attacks on the scale of which Assad has already been shown to use? Because you would acknowledge that Assad has used chemical weapons on his own people before, correct?
I would not acknowledge that.
You would not. So why was Russia told in 2013 to assist in making sure Assad removes all these chemical
different.
weapons?
It's one thing to have chemical weapons, another thing to use them. Russia was told that. You're 100% right. And in an interview that I did with Assad for Fox News, Assad said that he was getting rid of these weapons. So here's the thing. Were they released on the ground? But beyond that, is it in the interest of the United States to, in effect, assist ISIS? We say we're against ISIS, but ISIS is slaughtering Christians, anybody who doesn't agree with their point of view. Why are we helping ISIS? And also Saudi Arabia, which the president met with, was responsible for 9/11. Saudis are players here.
Well,
and why are we helping the people who helped bring about 9/11? I don't understand this.
You're asking some fair questions about what the end game looks like. I don't think anyone could acknowledge that America willingly wants to help Al-Qaeda or ISIS. The question is, Assad is a brutal dictator who we do have evidence, has gassed his people. Doesn't feel like we could be okay with him where he is. Do you see a solution where Russia could depose Assad, find an alternative, and Russia owns stabilizing that country?
Well, there is no military solution. Russia is needed to help bring about a political solution. And we have to keep in mind, if the U.S. forces regime change here, look at Iraq, look at Libya, look at the human effect. Over 1 million Iraqis died in that war already. We don't want to be responsible for inflaming a war, and we sure don't want to be responsible for putting ISIS and Al-Qaeda in charge.
Well, aren't we, fair enough, but are we not already responsible for a great deal of the violence that has ensued already? We drew a red line, said we were going to, Assad had to go. We never did anything to create that tipping point. Russia came in, backed him up. Now he's stronger than he's been in a long time. Wouldn't it have to be Russia that would bring about a peaceable regime change? And then we're still fighting ISIS, so we're trying to crush ISIS at the same time.
Keep this in mind. The U.S. and Russia worked together to bring about a ceasefire back in October, and that happened. Mr. Kerry and Mr. Lavrov met, and they said, okay, we're going to have a ceasefire. But unfortunately, a bombing attack by the U.S. on a Syrian barracks broke that agreement. I just want to tell you something. Peace is possible, but if somebody has the agenda of regime change, it's going to be a nightmare. And not only that, I don't want my country helping those who are responsible for 9/11 take over another country.
Well, there's a lot of nightmares going on over there, from ISIS to the Assad regime, no doubt, and no one wants to unleash another ISIS 2.0 or 3.0. The question is, can you get rid of Assad without allowing ISIS or its allies to be in charge? That's an open question, and I think that's a lot of the question you're raising as well. Congressman, thank you very much for your insight this morning.
Thank you.